Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it so very much. Hopefully the lighting is okay. It is the middle of the afternoon, but we have so much smoke around here that it's kind of like this is going to be a while before you see this, but from when I'm filming it. But yeah, we just have a lot of smoke, so hopefully you can still see everything because we don't have the best lighting right now, even though my lights are on. Maybe that makes it a little better. I don't know. We'll see. So today is another 4 for 4. I have 4 palettes that I'm going to talk about. So that was the ABH Norvina Volume 3. I have Nabla Dreamy. This is the original one. I have the Too Faced Papaya Pop. And I have the Juvia's Place Nudes. Just the little one. I'm going to talk about them, rank them at the end, kind of let you know what my thoughts are, and let you know if I'm going to declutter any of them at some point before the end. We're going to start with the Nudes by Juvia's Place. There are 6 shades in here. There is not a mirror. That's what they look like. I'll swatch them for you and then come back and talk about them. All right, as you can see, they are very light. There is not a lot of pigment to any of them, even ones that you might think are a little bit darker, like this one right here, that's right down here. It's just, they don't have a lot of presence. I was expecting them to be a little bit more pigmented just because of my previous experience with Juvia's Place. This one I had to double swatch, that's this first one there. It didn't want to really show up very much. The other 2 shimmers show up really pretty well, but this is not a palette that I would recommend. This is not one, like I struggled to get enough definition using just this palette to make it worth it. I think if you want to use this as like a base one with, and then put in pops and darker shades and stuff, that would be okay. But as its own, I didn't get enough looks out of it. I struggled. I so struggled because like these 2 are really the only ones that had any sort of pigment to them. The 2 mattes here, these are just like good crease shades, or not crease shades, under eye shades. And I mean, these are pretty, but yeah, I wasn't super impressed with it. I think this is the worst Juvia's Place that I've had, and I know it's the Nudes, but I was expecting just a little bit more, especially since they are a Black-owned company. I would expect their Nudes to be a little bit more pigmented, a little bit darker, because they're not anybody darker than me. I don't think they would show up very well on. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's what they want. They want something super pale. I don't know. I obviously do not have that pigmented of skin, but that was kind of a disappointment. I wouldn't recommend it. I got it as part of a trend mood box, so I didn't pay like a lot for it. It's inexpensive on its own, but it was a disappointment for me. Next up is the Too Faced Papaya Pop. This one does have a mirror, and this one does have a scent. It smells kind of like a sicky, peachy smell. It just doesn't smell as good as their peach line. It's closer to like the L'Oreal peach scent, which I thought was kind of nauseating. So I'm not a big fan of the scent, but this is what the shades look like. I will swatch it really fast. All right, and that's what they look like all swatched. As you can see, there's a little bit more pigment. This guy right here, that top on the one right there, I did have to double swatch that one. It did not want to show up the first time. But the shimmers did a really nice job, especially this shimmer. Oh my gosh, they're not quite their normal Too Faced shimmer. They feel a little bit more delicate, a little bit more crumbly than what I'm used to with like the pumpkin palettes, or the gingerbread or the chocolate palettes. These are a little bit different. These are kind of similar to what they did in the other 2 Tutti Frutti palettes though. So there is some nice colors in here. I feel like you can build them up like I did. It built up pretty well there. And then this one looks really patchy in real life, but it blended out okay. Kind of the same with the purple. So the mattes aren't the best, But I still think this is an okay palette. I'm glad that I got it for 50% off. They put it on sale like right after they put it out. So I think these are worth it if you can get them half price. I would not pay full price for these though. I think they're like $35 or $40. Definitely not worth it. $15, $17 is about the max I would pay for them. So it's an okay palette. I don't think it's the best Too Faced palette. I kind of like the color scheme. I really have been into yellow lately. In case you haven't noticed with my eye look and my dress, but that's what they look like. So I kind of like it, but it's not my favorite type of palette. I'm on the fence. Then we come to Nabla. This is the Dreamy palette. I believe this is the first palette that they did. It does have like little galaxies and constellations on it. It does have a full-size mirror that's pretty nice. And then this is what the shades look like. I'll swatch them all. All right, so this is what they all look like swatched. I will say I think this is the most wearable of all of the Nabla palettes that I have so far. Like every color is kind of a neutral, not over the top, colors that you could wear to work pretty reasonably. They are beautiful. Most of the shimmers are fantastic. They're really soft and buttery and smooth. The one exception is this guy right up here, the Delirium. It's not a good shade. You can see this one right here, it looks kind of funky. It's kind of hard and not crunchy, but it doesn't feel the same as the other shimmers. And these mattes are so soft and they feel so good when you stick your finger in them. And they blend out really well too. So I do really like this palette. I am glad that I got it. I would recommend this palette. I would recommend the Poison palette. I really like that one as well. So I've talked about that in a 4for4. I will post it up there. There's probably a playlist actually so that you can see some of the other ones that I've done. But yeah, I really like this palette. I think they did a good job with it. The last palette is the ABH Norvina Volume 3. This is the only one of the Norvina big ones that I have. I have the minis because they were cute, but it does have a huge mirror. So this is a mirror that you can see your full face in. It's pretty good. It's kind of frightening to look in though. And then this is what all of the shadows look like. So you get a lot of shadows in here. 25 shadows. I had to do math really fast. So this does have the most variety. It is the most expensive of all of the palettes as well, but I did get it on sale. I think I got it 30% off through ABH, Anastasia Beverly Hills, so that really helped as well. So I'm going to show this palette 2 rows at a time, or 10 shadows, and then I'll do the final 5. I would also like to say that I have not worn every shade in this palette because there's just so many of them, and 4for4, I wear each one of these palettes for 4 days in a row, or not necessarily in a row, but yeah, you can't wear all of these shades in 4 days. So yeah, we're gonna start with the first 2 rows that are here on the bottom. That's what they look like. So you do have that yellow was brighter than I was expecting. The green and the yellow I needed to go in a little bit more on. I think they need a little bit more time to build up. I think this green probably is the same. The shimmer is beautiful, that blue shimmer there on the top. The rest of them are all mattes. I really liked what I tried. I tried mostly the pinks and purples and oranges. I didn't try so much the yellows and blues and greens, but so far I've liked what I've been wearing with it. All right, now we have these next 2 rows. That's what they look like. That first shimmer, oh my gosh, I was so impressed with. And actually, this is where I went in first, and I went in with these like colors right there in the middle. And oh my gosh, they're so pretty, and they did such a good job with them. And then the green, I did go in, that is a double swatch just because the first one didn't really pick up very well. And I'm liking all of the shimmers, like they're catching the light really well. I did swatch all 3 of the greens really fast for you so you could see them. Wow, my arm is super white. It's kind of upsetting the white balance. But you can see they swatch much lighter on one application than when you go back in with them on a second one. All right, so I swatched those 3 greens so that you can see them side by side. You can see that the green that's in this bottom row is the most pigmented of all of them. It just shows up a little bit more, but that's that last row. There is that beautiful purple shimmer. I did really like that one. So what I would say about this is that a lot of these are going to stain your eyes. Like I had some issues trying to get it off of my skin because they are not all eyeshadows. Some of them are marketed as pressed pigments, and that's because they can do a little staining. I would recommend using an eye primer just to give your skin a little bit more of a base, so you can still kind of see. That was the initial swipe, and then I'm going to go in and just keep kind of scrubbing away, trying to get some of those colors off, because you can still, I don't know if you can see on camera, but I can see in person some stripes on my skin. All of these palettes actually, except for the Too Faced, have pressed pigments in them. They're not all eyeshadow, they're eyeshadow and pressed pigment palettes, which is kind of like a way to get away with it, because you look at this and you're gonna think, oh, it's an eyeshadow palette, especially because they say there's eyeshadows in it. I know some of them are okayed here, some of them aren't okayed here, some of them are okayed in Europe or in Canada. So keep that in mind as you're thinking about these. And let me rank them. I already have the ranking in mind because it's pretty easy for me. The first one is going to be in last place, is the Nudes by Juvia's Place, just because this is not a standalone palette for me. I can see this as a good like basic palette, and then you're going to need another palette or single shadows to work with this as well. And this one, it says shade 2 is a pressed pigment, but I'm not sure what shade 2 is. I would think it's either this one or this one, unless it's 1, 2, who knows. Anyway, there is a pressed pigment in that one. In third place, I'm gonna go with the Too Faced. And this one, these are all eyeshadows. It is advertised as an eyeshadow palette. It does not say pressed pigments on it anywhere. And I do like this one. I don't think it's their best formula. I'm enjoying it, and I enjoyed like the colors that are in here, but it's again, not the best that I've gotten from Too Faced, not the best that they've put out, but it's still good. I still like it. I still like all of these. Like I'm not going to declutter any of these, but there's still like ones that are better than others. In third place, I'm going to put the Dreamy palette by Nabla. And that's just because I do love this. The colors are really pretty. This is more of a basics palette, everyday type of palette. Really pretty colors. This one though was not a good one. I don't know how it's gonna perform in the eye. I don't think I used that one, or if I did, it was like I tried and it failed. So I do like this palette. It's not my favorite of the bunch though. That credit is going to go to the ABH Norvina 3. And that's because this was just so much fun to play with. And I really liked the looks that I did with this. I love the oranges in here. I love the pinks. I love the like maroons and the reds. Just those colors really speak to me. I like warm tones. I'm not so much into the cool tones. So having those, and even if I'm not wearing like the greens and the blues, I just really like having them there. And I just think this is such, like, of all of the palettes that they did in this line, this one is the one that calls the most to me. Like, there's something very fun and aesthetically pleasing to it for me. So that's my number one choice. I do love the butterflies on it too. I think it's pretty cute. Yeah, let me know if you have tried any of these palettes, if you would rank them differently, what your thoughts and opinions are on them, if you have had any of these on your list, or if one of them might be on your list now. Please let me know down below. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please make sure to subscribe too, and I'll talk to you next time.